Man, y'all keep talking about my teeth. This is a little phase I'm going through. Give it time.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so on my adventures today, what did I learn? I've been looking at it at a different approach lately, guys. Like, I'm trying to learn from the liberals. You know, maybe they've been right all this time. Yeah, no, just joking. But I do try and like get in their head, and I know you guys try and tell me, Mark, stop trying to figure them out because they're impossible to figure out. But that's the fun part about it. I like decoding things. I like, you know, puzzles, all that type of stuff. I love debunking things. And these guys are a challenge. I mean, they're very predictable. It's easy to see how programmed they are. And one thing that does drive me nuts, I'm a very patient person. When I was younger, I used to have a very bad temper, but I've always had a lot of patience, and it takes a lot for my temper to blow. But one thing I've always hated is stupid predictability. And that's what you get out of the liberals all the time. So what we learned this time is that apparently the liberals have been peaceful and patient up until this point. They've displayed a lot of patience apparently since Inauguration Day, and they've been peaceful up until this point too. That's news to me because I guess I shouldn't believe my eyes. Apparently the whole Afghanistan departure, where the 13 soldiers, the 13 fallen soldiers, that's apparently Trump's fault. Yeah, that's all apparently Trump's fault. And there's one specific liberal that would really like to thank President Biden for ending that war. And on another note, you guys notice how there's always like hit words. You know, it's always a different word of the week. It's oligarchy, Doge, trigger words that these guys always have. Notice that the trigger words have switched up all of a sudden. You're not hearing the same ones that you were hearing a week or two ago. You don't really hear them complaining about Elon as much. They'll still make some comments here and there. You don't hear about, you know, the salute as much anymore. You're not hearing Nazi as much anymore. Well, in this video, you're going to find out why. Let's get into it.
So they're not going to do it. They're not going to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. This is crazy. They need to impeach him with a quickness. None of this is okay. We are in some deep shit. I'm at a loss for words. We need to get that man out of office. Like yesterday.
All of us who voted for Kamala Harris look smarter and smarter every single day.
There was a male nurse in the room when I was having an abortion, and I told him to leave immediately. Because vacuuming is women's work.
Well, no duh. Of course he'll get the guilty verdict because he's, guess what? Black. You're a white woman. You're always gonna get your way. So here's what I suggest to you. Hopefully, if you end up having kids, I really hope that your child, when he's 17, walk up on the wrong black kid and maybe, just maybe, he'll get pokey poked too. How's that for karma?
I will not give context. You should just know what I'm saying. It has to be all three. And if not all three, at least the two. If it's not the two, then it's all for nothing.
This has gone too far since day one. We've all been very patient. We've been peaceful. And no amount of pushback seems to be making any difference. We are all going to be freaking doomed if something isn't done. The whole world sees what's happening. They can't silence them. They're going to try to silence us. That's inexcusable. Just to shove that Christian nationalist dictatorship down our throats. Making it so they can turn around and narc on us every chance they get if we do anything that bothers them. These people cannot live in peace and harmony with other people. They're not capable of it. That's inexcusable. The entire world has displayed repeatedly that we want peace with one another. We all want to just live our lives and love our neighbors. Love our brothers and sisters. And these people won't let us. And that cult is a problem. They're violent and they're dangerous. But they're easy to spot. And their refusal to acknowledge facts, their hatred for science and data and research and experts weakens them. That's to our advantage. They may be violent and irrational, but they're also stupid. So, it's time to stand up.
Alright guys, let me start off by apologizing for putting you guys through 1 minute and 48 seconds of complete and utter bullshit. She told lie after lie after lie to the point I can't even remember everything that she said. Now, as you guys know, I don't do this, like most people do in OBS and watch it with you guys. I'll watch the clip and then I'll comment afterwards. And she threw too much out there, too many lies about how we're all violent and we can't live in peace and harmony. That's all they want is peace and harmony. They want peace and harmony as long as they can have their woke culture. How the rest of the world can't be silenced, yet they're silenced. They're under this crazy illusion that the news is all of a sudden on Trump's side. So to any liberal out there, are you honestly going to sit there and believe that CNN and MSNBC, your number 1 and 2, are actually on Trump's side now? No, not whatsoever. They still paint Trump in a bad light any chance they can. They don't mention any of the good that he does. Now, what Christian nationalist dictatorship are we talking about here? Because I still see Christianity being persecuted in several different countries. I see Trump is trying to get it respected in the States again. He's not trying to force it down anybody's throat. And to you liberals out there, you have no clue what a dictatorship is. You really don't. Because in a dictatorship, you can't go on TikTok and talk about how you want President Trump to be 6 feet under. You can't go and shit talk him left, right, and center like you do. If you were in Ukraine, do you think you can talk this way about Zelensky? Yet he's a war hero, right? He's a proud war hero, not a dictator whatsoever. 2 young kids, or 2 or 3 actually, were just arrested in Ukraine for listening to Russian music out in public, and they were arrested for that. We've already talked about men out in bicycles, and all of a sudden they're in the back of a white van. Before you know it, they're wearing, a uniform, and they're on the front lines. But no, that's a war hero. But Trump is the dictator. Now, it must have driven the liberals nuts yesterday to have Nayib Bukele sitting in the Oval Office, because they look at that man like he's a dictator, just because he's a little bit hardcore in his country. But do you notice how El Salvador has got the lowest crime rate now in the West? He has completely cleaned it up. They were the murder capital. And now, no problem at all. Because the words were chosen correctly. And actually it was President Bukele that mentioned it himself, is you got to start ignoring the fact about the people that he put in prison, because that's who the liberals want to look at and feel bad for mass murderers and rapists. And actually look how these citizens have been liberated and they're free and safe. This is what Trump's trying to do for all of you. And you guys have a real hard time accepting that. You're so used to abuse, it's a serious case of Stockholm Syndrome that's going on with you guys.
So are we great yet? Just curious. Because all I'm seeing is us being in a depression. And I'm not talking about individually. I hate it here. I fucking hate it here. Anyway, you guys won.
So Trump wants to deport U.S. citizens who are repeat offenders. 34 felonies, does that count? Can we start there?
I am a simple man. I see that the moon is full tonight, so I have nothing else to do but to howl.
The last time this shit happened, 60,000 people were ethnically cleansed, removed from their homes, dragged across the country. 15,000 or more were fucking killed. Killed in the process. The last time a United States president defied the Supreme Court in this manner, to this level, at all, 60,000 Native Americans and African Americans were fucking ethnically cleansed. This is the harbinger of death. This is the collapse of the republic.
Anybody else hoping that prediction comes true today? No, just me? All right, because I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for that shit to happen. And you know the one I'm talking about. Yeah, you know the one.
Hey, just a Remembrance Day to remember the 13 soldiers in Afghanistan where Trump cost their lives by letting 5,000 Taliban terrorists out of prison, depleting our forces there in Afghanistan. It was Trump's pullout. It was his deal. His own men have said it. He failed, and it cost lives. When he was president and the war was going on in Afghanistan, he cost 72 lives, American soldiers' lives. And then after he left office, 13 soldiers lost their lives because of his horrible deal with the Taliban, leaving the Afghan government out of the deal and doing a back channel deal with terrorists, costing the lives of 13 of our soldiers. Let's remember the facts. Let's continue to remember the truth. He also wanted to bring one of those Taliban terrorists to Camp David. That's how fucking stupid this guy is, as he's destroying our middle class, creating crises and acting like he's fixing them. Only for the dumb. It's dumb talk for dumb people all day with Trump. But let's remember the 13 soldiers that lost their life in Afghanistan. Trump cost those lives. I want to thank President Biden for ending that war. It was a going nowhere, endless war that Trump couldn't end. And President Biden lost 13 soldiers because of Trump's failed deal. You were set up, sir. Most of America knows that. Trump hates this country. He wouldn't even show up at Dover for the four fallen soldiers. He went and played golf instead. He proves every day, how much he hates America and how he disrespects and could care less about our military. So today, let's remember those 13 soldiers that lost their lives because Trump let 5,000 Taliban terrorists out of prison and they ran back to Afghanistan.
Okay, so we're dealing with like a real smug, arrogant, like Timu version of Ed Helms here. Can you picture having this guy as your next door neighbor? And you could picture the mouth that would be on him because he's one of those people that would think he could say whatever he wants this close to your face and never get slapped. Not to condone violence at all here, YouTube, but some people just get a little bit under your skin. And especially when they're sitting there in front of a camera and telling you bold-faced lies. This guy knows how bad the Biden administration screwed up the Afghanistan exit. Why? If they actually did the right thing and if it was Trump's fault, you don't think they would have been boasting about that for years? They wouldn't have been talking about how terrible of a job Trump did getting the soldiers out of Afghanistan. Trump did start it, yes, but Biden definitely finished it, and he finished it incorrectly. Now, what he did bring up, though, and this is one thing that I can't take Trump's side here, the four fallen soldiers recently, how Trump did not attend and he was actually on a golf course instead. That's a real bad look. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm a Trumper. I love the guy. But sending Pete Hegseth there, not good enough. Sorry, not good enough. If this was still campaign time, Trump would have been there. He wouldn't have been on a golf course. It almost looks like you're past the finish line, so okay, I don't have to act as I was before I actually became president. It's a bad look on Trump there. He's obviously taking some heat in the media about it, and he kind of deserves it. Don't get me wrong. He's done so many things right in his first 100 days so far, but that was one goof up there. So I can't side with him on that one. Yet, that's nothing compared to the way how Biden was when the 13 fallen soldiers came back and he looked at his watch multiple times. You've seen the reactions of family members, how they reacted to Biden looking at his watch like he had somewhere better to be. Those 13 names were never mentioned. They were only mentioned because of Trump. The Biden administration gave them no recognition whatsoever. Yet, if there is a illegal criminal that Biden just happened to call an illegal alien, he apologizes for that. Again, by far, easily the worst president in the history of the United States.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to foot.
Biden was awful.
They're not bringing Abrego Garcia back, and now they're also defying a court order to allow the AP press into the White House. I think that this week is shaping up to be one of great importance in American history because he's defying the Supreme Court now. as well as the lower court for the AP ruling. Here we go. I hope we still have an America after this week. Maybe he'll get forcefully impeached. I can dream.
If someone does it before the summertime, it's going to be like that one summer when everyone was playing Pokemon Go and everyone was a friend.
I retired when I was 22 years old, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Step 1, get blown up by a bomb.
Hey, so if athletes get paid based on viewership, and women's sports get less viewership than men's sports, that means by definition, these women are getting paid less for playing the exact same sport, for doing the exact same job, which means they're not getting paid equally, beloved. So not only are you being transphobic, you are also denying the active struggles of women in the workforce on Women's Day. Have the day you deserve.
Let me just make sure I got this correct. You got the authority to seize the Panama Canal. You got the authority to make Canada a 51st state. You got the authority to seize Greenland. But you can't get back the guy that you wrongfully kidnapped?
All right, listen up. There is a man who our government has admitted is completely innocent, who is suffering in a hellish third world prison that is 100 times worse than any U.S. supermax where we house our murderers and our serial killers. This man came to the U.S. legally. He's married to a U.S. citizen. He has committed no crime. And the United States government is saying that they have no jurisdiction to bring him home, even after admitting in court that they sent him by mistake. And you know, there comes a time in all of our lives where we either take a stand for what's right or we silently become complicit with evil. And make no mistake, today, this is our final exit ramp. If we quietly allow an innocent man to be disappeared forever, with no trial, no evidence, and a BS line that there's nothing they can do about it, well, then they can disappear you or me. So I'm asking you, begging you, raise your voice for this man. Make a ruckus. Use whatever small platform you have. We have to make so much noise that we give them no other option. This isn't politics. This is basic humanity. And we can't be silent in this moment because history is watching.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That's a name that you guys have been hearing quite often the past couple of days. And this is what the hit words on media has switched into. It's his name. They'll just call him Abrego Garcia. What is it again? The Maryland father. That's the other hit word. Nothing to do with MS-13 or no, he's just the Maryland father. And constitutional crisis. They were already using constitutional crisis before, but now they've really kicked it into gear because of this. So we're not going to dig deep into this right now because I'm actually probably in the next video, I'm going to be digging more into this. So I've been doing a lot of research on it, and everything that we are hearing in the news is untrue. And that's not just in my opinion, YouTube. There's court documentation. Kilmar Abrego Garcia never had any actual legal rights in the United States. He was never a citizen. Was he a Maryland father? Yes, he was. So they're not lying there. He did get his due process. He claimed asylum about 7 years too late. I've been doing my research on it, and I just want to grasp it a little tighter before I actually deliver it all to you guys. I don't know if you guys have been looking to this yourselves at all, or if you're just getting really sick of hearing this guy's name and how it's a constitutional crisis and we need to bring him back home. He is home. Does he belong in the prison out there? I'm not absolutely certain. I'd like to figure why he can't just be a free man in El Salvador, but for some reason he's imprisoned out there. He had claims of he couldn't go back there because of he was worried about this one in particular gang that was going to kill him. That gang doesn't exist anymore. What's going on here is liberal media, all leftists, they're all jumping on board on this because what they think they see is a weak spot on Trump. They think that Trump goofed up here, but believe it or not, even when it came to this 9-0 SCOTUS decision, it's not what you guys think. It's not that they ordered Trump bring him back. The wording is very carefully chosen. And even though the Trump administration admitted that it was an administrative error that he was sent back to El Salvador, it turns out legally that didn't even matter. Those rights were gone at this point. So the whole narrative that you guys are hearing online, on media, because it's literally 99 out of every 100 people talking about this are on the liberal side, because they are all in attack mode thinking we got Trump cornered, and they really do not. So we're going to dig further into this pretty damn deep in the next video, guys. All right, guys, I do have one more clip for you. If you guys are new to the channel and you like this type of content, please consider subscribing if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet. Besides that, if you can like the video, share the video, make a comment on the video, interact with the video in any way, that would be greatly appreciated. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.
If you aren't fully aware of the entire story around Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it is time to tune in, because Trump just pulled a stunt that could make this get really bad really fast. But there are still a couple of ways that this could go that could end amicably, at least for Abrego Garcia. This is a difficult topic for me because frankly it's terrifying, but also because I'm a married dad with an American family just like him. But at the same time, I'm a straight white male American citizen. If I can't speak up on behalf of him as a member of the most privileged class in this country, who will? So first, Abrego Garcia was born in El Salvador, but he came here at 15 years old in 2011. He came here because violent cartels were extorting money from his family business. But his older brother was a U.S. citizen, so he wanted to come and live with him and start a life. Because he was 15, he was not an illegal immigrant. He was a child seeking asylum. An immigration court at the time denied his request for asylum, but also gave him legal protection from deportation due to the risk of violence if he returned home. As a young adult, Abrego Garcia married a U.S. citizen who had her own kids here. Together, they had their own son who was an American-born U.S. citizen. He was working as a sheet metal apprentice working toward his journeyman's license, but because he was Hispanic with tattoos, he couldn't last 100 days into Trump's tenure. He was driving down the street in March with his son in the car, and he was profiled, arrested, detained, and sent to Texas and deported only 3 days later without due process. Abrego Garcia has never been charged or convicted of a crime in El Salvador or the United States, and had been living here peacefully since 2011. At this point, I have to pause because I'm a dad with a 7-year-old son. Abrego Garcia should be in the midst of one of the most hilarious and enjoyable phases of fatherhood, but Trump robbed him of that. Now he's in a prison in El Salvador full of the same cartel members that he was trying to run away from in the first place. A federal judge demanded the Trump administration bring Abrego Garcia back home. Trump administration appealed that to the Supreme Court, and they ruled 9-0 against him. Even Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito voted with the majority against Trump, a ruling that Trump said he would obey. But then in the most insane White House visit by a foreign leader since at least a week ago, the authoritarian president of El Salvador comes to the White House and says no. Remember, this is a man the United States taxpayers are paying $25,000 a year to keep Abrego Garcia in prison. We are paying them $6 million for all of the people we illegally deported there. And this guy comes and sits in the Oval Office and looks at the president, who says he's the most powerful man in the world, who says he's the greatest negotiator on the planet. And he says, I'm not sending him back. And Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, the man who swore an oath to defend due process, the man who is the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the history of the world, obeys. Now keep in mind, this is a fast-moving story, and this is not going away, because Chris Van Hollen, the senator from Maryland who represents Abrego Garcia, already requested his own meeting with the president of El Salvador, and already committed to traveling to El Salvador this week to negotiate the return of Abrego Garcia, assuming Trump can't get it done himself.